Hello guys, today we're going to take a look at the game Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice, which won the Best Game of 2019 award. In the end, we'll find out if shadows really die twice or if they are doing something unpleasant to the player's nerve cells who decide to try this game. The game starts with a cutscene trying to explain what's going on. Japan is engulfed in war and bloodshed has reached the lands of Ashina. The cunning warlord Ishin took advantage of the situation and seized power. Then we see a scene where some beggar leaves a stylish scar on the protagonist's face and tells him to follow him. "What are you doing, dickhead? I'll remember you." Our boy grew up, learned all sorts of cool stuff, and officially became a shinobi. A shinobi is a ninja with an arsenal of cool abilities and techniques for combat. But our shinobi seems to be broken because throughout the game, not a single Rasengan or even shadow clone was observed. This big guy says that our shinobi now has a lord, and we need to protect him at the cost of our lives. At the moment, the lands of Ashina are going through difficult times. While we sat in the pit having depression, our lord was kidnapped, and now we have to go save him. After getting out of the well and eavesdropping on conversations among local warriors, I found out where we need to go. Upon reaching a building on the edge of a cliff, we see a little boy named Kuro with a bob haircut, and it's him we'll have to protect throughout the game. The child gives us a sword and tells us to kill everyone so that he can escape. When I went outside, I was shocked. I received a real tutorial on the basic game mechanics. From Software, what is this? Usually, you throw me into a world where the only hints are showing which buttons to press. Do you need training? Are you dumb? Figure out how to play yourself. Well, I won't dwell on it for long, just adding that this game is unlike anything this company has created before, and I actually liked that at first. There are normal jumps, stealth, and parrying that, I thought, quickly fill up the enemy's concentration gauge. Oh, how wrong I was. On my path, I encountered the first tutorial boss. By the way, I considered guys like him bosses for the first few hours of the game because I didn't come across anything else. Later, I understood that these were mini-bosses, and by killing them, you receive beads. Collecting 4 of them allows you to increase your health bar, concentration level, and dick. But I'm not sure about the last one. I led the boy to a secret passage, and we emerged into a field, but Mr. Genichiro was standing there who, with his appearance, made it clear that Kuro wouldn't go anywhere with me. "Well, buddy, I'll probably have to kick your ass." "Oh, come on, I was just joking. Why did you immediately reach for your sword? Relax, you nervous twat." Anyway, our shinobi screwed up, and some bastards took the boy. Next, the main character wakes up in a hut with a sculptor and notices that instead of a hand, now he has a prosthetic. This prosthetic can be upgraded by the sculptor with various axes, fireworks, and other crap that can come in handy during the game. Now you can explore an open world, which, by the way, is quite large and beautiful. There are many different locations where it's easy to get lost, as is typical for the genre. In each location, we will encounter numerous mini-bosses, and the key to defeating them is to try to deflect their attacks. Each successful deflection fills up their posture meter, and when it's full, we can deliver a finishing blow. Most mini-bosses, like the main character, have 2 lives, so it takes quite a while to defeat them. Fortunately, their attacks can be easily anticipated. However, our main character also has a posture meter to watch out for because if it fills up, we'll be vulnerable to attacks. In moments when I encountered these creatures, my brain would completely shut off because it refused to accept the fact that their attacks could be parried. So, like a madman, I would run and jump around them, trying to evade their strikes, which often led to my death. After praying at a certain statue, I found myself transported 3 years into the past. In these memories, the entire village was engulfed in flames, with warriors roaming everywhere, ready to rape me. But I didn't panic and simply passed half of the village in stealth. Well, you know, I'm not dumb enough to engage when everyone is on high alert. I reached an arena with a mini-boss, quickly dispatching its minions to avoid any trouble, and then engaged in an uneven battle with a drunken judo master. Realizing that we were in different weight categories, I called for backup. With collective effort, we triumphed over him. Inside the building guarded by that enormous guy is my first boss. Allow me to introduce you to Lady Butterfly. She quickly had me eating dirt and made sure to mock me as well. "Listen, old hag, I can forgive violence against me in an honorable fight, but this, I'll never forgive." So, after a good rest, I set out to seek revenge on the old lady. 1, 2, hooray, victory. Just when I was celebrating my achievement of defeating a woman 3 times my age, I got stabbed in the back. Turns out, this kid is special and can resurrect others from the dead, which is what he did to our shinobi 3 years ago. Because of the boy's abilities, all sorts of assholes are after him, like Genichiro, who wants to use the kid for his own purposes, and it's my job to stop them. After 5 hours of gameplay, I remembered that I needed to go to the castle to retrieve Koro. On my way, an interesting man stood in my path. His name is Gyubu Masataka Aniwa. And you know what? The fight with him is genuinely interesting. Gyubu gallops around on his horse, swinging his stick, and you can even grapple to him. Overall, all the bosses in this game are quite interesting. They are challenging, but the battles are always spectacular and beautiful. That farting monkey alone is worth it. Oh my, give me two.
No, God! No, God, please, no! No!
There is, of course, one relaxing easy boss purely made for fun, but that makes the game even more enjoyable. So, having defeated that samurai on horseback, I made my way to the castle, but a cow with flaming shit on its head appeared at the wrong time and decided to ruin all my plans. Even though this steak tried to fuck me for a long time, I didn't give up and showed it that submission is not my role. Having finally reached the castle, I met Koro and my old acquaintance Genichiro, who was trying to persuade the kid to bestow immortality upon him. Koro told him to fuck off and said that his loyal shinobi would soon appear and kick Genichiro's ass. Well, here I am. Fighting Genichiro is actually cool because he fights like a true warrior, without dumb OP attacks, fair and square. So, I pierced him and thought it was all over, but then he entered his second phase, the Lightning Lord phase, and started handing out beatings. I love From Software Company for explaining how some dumb enemy attacks work only after you've either died from them or reached your final moments. Thanks, couldn't you have done it a bit earlier? Anyway, since I'm a dumbass and didn't understand how to dodge that lightning attack, I died a couple of times in the second phase. Maybe more than a couple. Only after I figured out how to actually parry that shit, I was able to defeat him. Hooray, victory! Genichiro died, or maybe not, as it turned out. He drank some kind of rejuvenating water, which made him capable of resurrection. But in return, he lost his human form and became something like a demon. And he left. That's it. Now Koro says he wants to end all these supernatural shenanigans with resurrection because it spreads a dragon's rot throughout the world, causing suffering to ordinary people. Basically, the more the main character dies, the more people get sick, and these include merchants and other quest-related NPCs. Of course, you can cure them by helping this quest-giving girl, but I didn't give a shit. Don't get me wrong, I'm not a heartless person, but the characters in this game are so uninteresting that I have zero empathy for them. Anyway, Koro wants to sever the ties of immortality by sacrificing himself, and now I need to go to the old man Ishin, the same guy from the beginning of the game. He tells us that since Koro is an unusual child, a special sword of the immortals and several other ingredients are needed to kill him. I passed on all the information to the kid and set off on my journey. Upon reaching the presumed location of one of the ingredients for Koro, I encountered a formidable opponent. At least, that's what I had heard from my friends who had already played Sekiro. Fortunately, that monkey didn't give me much trouble. Perhaps I'm a lucky devil or my strategy of random scared pussy jumps works well against that ape. Having obtained the flower for Koro, I headed to the temple where the immortal blade was said to be located. On the way, I encountered a decent mini-boss that needed to be thrown out of the bridge. Speaking of mini-bosses, I don't want to talk too much about them since there are a ton, and many of them are similar. I don't think spending several hours discussing each one would bring you much pleasure, and they don't have much impact on the plot anyway. So, having reached the temple, I rang the bell and was transported to some other dimension. Here, 4 monkeys are running around, and they need to be killed. Each one has its own special ability. One has keen eyesight to spot you from a distance, another warns all the other monkeys about your movements, and so on. In general, this boss requires some brain activity, but you don't need to be a genius, as this monk can give you hints, and the notes on the walls provide clues on what to do. After outsmarting these monkeys, we are transported to another temple where we encounter this child. She is a special child, just like our Koro. We receive a cool sword. Looking at it now, I'm thinking if I had known the torturous journey that awaited me, I would have killed Koro right then and there and performed seppuku. But such an option doesn't exist yet, so we move on. While I was searching for another ingredient for Koro, I encountered that monkey again, only this time there were 2 of them. When I saw that, I thought I would have a heart attack. Managing to overcome these monkeys somehow, I also encountered this boss. She only had 1 phase, so it was easy, but I know this monk was just a shadow of the real one I would later face. After defeating her, I gained the ability to breathe underwater. I'm not sure why I need it, but just look how cool I can jump out of the water now. It's genuinely astounding. I also discovered a passage to a beautiful location where I found the last ingredient for Kuro, or so I thought. When I was ready to return to the castle, I noticed that all the bonfires in that area had extinguished, and I couldn't teleport to them. So, I had to make a long journey to unlock all of them. Upon reaching the castle, I noticed new ninjas who were not very friendly towards me, as well as injured old warriors asking for my help to defend the lands of Ashina. On the rooftop, where we once fought Genichiro, I saw my old mentor, whom our shinobi considers as his father. He was thought to have died 3 years ago, and at the beginning of the game, you can actually meet him in memories. It was he who gave us the key to the doors where we fought Lady Butterfly and almost died from a rat's attack from behind. Suspicious. So, this old dog asks Kuro to make him immortal, but the kid tells Owl to leave him alone. When I reach the top of the roof, our mentor suggests that I betray Kuro and follow him. At that moment, the decision is made regarding which ending you are going for. Good or, let's say, relatively bad. If you agree to betray Kuro, our protagonist becomes Shura. Shura is like some kind of demon who spreads chaos and destruction, destroying everything in his path. Of course, our doctor and old Ishin will try to stop us, but we'll kill them all, including that scumbag father because he just deserved it. You shouldn't have shown up after what you did, asshole. Since anger was seething in me, I decided that such a thing cannot be forgiven or forgotten, so I must seek revenge on my mentor in an honorable battle. Just look at the drama he unleashes here, pretending to be very sad, and then attacking me from behind when I was about to leave. But we already know what kind of animal he is, so we won't let him stab us a second time. The fight with him isn't very interesting, but I really want to kill him. Owl constantly throws all sorts of cheating shit at me, preventing me from healing, jumps around the arena, splashing some poison, and so on until death. There are few windows to attack him, so eventually, I had to take risks and receive this poison just to land one hit on him, otherwise, it would be impossible to deplete his posture meter. Then, he will also use smoke to remove my target lock on him, attempting to attack me while concealed within it. Furthermore, he lowers his posture meter, making this fight seemingly endless. In general, the fight with him is long and boring. I died a few times, just one step away from victory, which made me tilt, and this bullying made it even worse. So, I pulled myself together and fucked that piece of shit up. How badly I wanted to piss on him, but unfortunately, his body disappeared after death. Sad. Now Kuro sends me on some nonsense errand again. Kid, be honest, do I really look like a courier? Then where's my money? Having reached a familiar place, I entered the shack and decided to take a break when suddenly, out of nowhere, a huge paw killed Sekiro. And the game ended just like that. Well, what can I say about it? Overall, the game turned out pretty good, although the ending confused me a bit. Okay, I'm kidding. That creature actually transported me to a new location. Here, Sekiro encounters the real corrupted monk that we need to defeat. You might be surprised why I referred to our unnamed shinobi as Sekiro for the first time ever, but that's because he really doesn't have a name. Shinobi, in general, aren't very talkative. The name Sekiro was given to our ninja by old Ishin. Yes, that crazy guy in the mask is him. Others call our shinobi wolf, pup, or stray dog, which is generally disrespectful. Let's jump back to the battle with the corrupted monk. The fight was not difficult, except for one dumb attack where she can literally one-shot you. I died from it a lot, as you can see, and I also tried to dodge her attacks by constantly jumping, but it always ended up the same way. After dealing with the boss, I reached a very beautiful settlement. But as beautiful as it is filled with disgusting enemies. So, remembering that we are ninjas and ninjas equal stealth, I quietly crawled through the entire location on my butt. You might ask what's so scary about them. Well, I'll tell you, the fights with these devils usually end in death, permanent death, without the possibility to resurrect even once, as it works with all other enemies. And since the game is called Shadows Die Twice, I decided it's unfair and therefore chose to speedrun through the entire location. I reached the sleeping lady who offered me to pray. Well, I did that and found myself somewhere in the sky with some terribly looking dragons. Although I have no idea what the game developers were smoking if they saw any resemblance to a dragon in them. Well, having defeated these worms, a real dragon appeared on the arena. The fight against it was simple yet beautiful. You had to catch lightning strikes and throw them at the dragon until its posture gauge was filled. But since I'm pretty bad with lightning, it took me some time. After dealing with the dragon and obtaining its tear for Kuro, I returned to the castle, where I was met not by a little boy but by the corpse of old man Ishin. I wanted to offer a drink to the doctor, to make her feel better, but she refused. Well, I'll have more for myself. The girl gave me a key and told me where to find the kid. Okay, got you, I'm off. The settlement is engulfed in flames, everyone is fighting each other, and I returned to that same field from the beginning of the game where Genichiro pissed on me once. But back then, I was young and weak. And now, I'm old and weak. On that field, I see that dog again and the wounded Kuro. That bastard decided to kill the child for some reason. And since I live by the principle that you shouldn't hit children but can hit grown men, I swiftly ran to beat the crap out of this guy. He started showing me various techniques, but I've learned a thing or two in these 10 hours of gameplay as well. So, easy peasy. Using the forbidden technique, Genichiro summons young Ishin to battle, who has 3 phases. And you know what? I truly believe that he's the most difficult boss in the game because fighting him will send you straight to your grave, most likely due to old age. Damn it, the person who suggested making the final boss have 4 phases is a sadistic maniac. I've been thinking all this time about the poor soul who decided to jump off a cliff, and you know what? After the 10th attempt, I realized that I can relate to his idea as well. A boss with 4 phases, and since you can't skip the fight with Genichiro, you'll have to go through the same shit dozens of times. By the time you finish fighting him, your kids will graduate from school. If you're a masochist, then I think this is your favorite boss. You have to run around the arena, parrying all the attacks and waiting for the right moment to land one hit, and repeat this process 4 times until you reduce his health by half. Even using various prosthetic tools won't help much against him. Divine Confetti, in particular, does more harm than good as you can't see half of the enemy's attacks due to that damn radiance. The fight becomes even more chaotic when the target lock gets dropped, even when the opponent is standing a meter away from me, making me feel like I'm playing a fucking roulette where my ass is at stake. After countless attempts, I defeated that creature, and you know what? I didn't feel any sense of bliss or superiority over the enemy, the feeling that I had become better and mastered the game. No. I was just glad it was all over, that I could uninstall the game at that moment and never think about it again. That's how it felt. Next to the dog's body lies a bleeding Kuro, and now we face the choice of what to do with him. We can sacrifice Sekiro so that Kuro survives, preserve Kuro's soul by placing it in this child and continue serving him, or we can kill the kid, which is what I chose. In this case, our shinobi becomes the new sculptor, and the vicious cycle continues, but who cares, right? That's how Sekiro, Shadows Die Twice turned out. What can I say? At the time of recording, the game on Steam costs €60. 60. I remind you, the game is 4 years old. Despite the good reviews and supposedly around 30 hours of main gameplay, I don't know what you can do in the main story for 30 hours, because I completed it in 2 evenings. I wouldn't recommend buying it on Steam for that price. 30 to 40 euros, yeah, it's reasonable, a fair price for such a game. It's not bad, the main bosses are quite interesting, almost all of them. The locations are beautiful, the mini-bosses are decent. The story, it's there, but there's very little of it and it's hidden between the lines. The characters are not interesting, you don't feel anything to them. The target lock occasionally gets messed up on bosses. And the camera works dumb at times, especially in confined spaces, but that's typical for all From Software games. In short, the game is far from a masterpiece, but if you're only looking for interesting fights and don't care about everything else, the game can definitely please you. But that is my experience and opinion about this game. What do you think about it? Share your thoughts in the comments, and see you soon.